The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. Game 6 tonight. OG Anunoby led the Knicks with 24, but too much from the Pacers in the second half. Knicks turned it over 17 times, resulting in 34 Pacers points. And Tyrese Halliburton had a huge fourth quarter with 11 points. He finished the game with 21 points and 11 assists. And the Knicks season is over. The Pacers win it tonight, 125-108. They win the series 4-2. Great to have you with us here from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pidto along with Alan Hahn and Wally Szczerbiak. So obviously, guys, mixed emotions. Knicks' best season since 2000. There had been some anticipation and some hope. You get past the Celtics, maybe you're on your way to the finals. But it turns out, Alan, the Pacers are a really, really good basketball team.
Yeah, and game one was going to cost you. You had to chase that game, and they weren't able to do that. And that game one will now be another chapter in the history of the Knicks and Pacers. And, you know, you tip your cap to the Pacers. They exposed a lot of weaknesses on the Knicks that we hadn't seen, including, of course, the turnover issue and then the points off turnovers that they were able to score on that. But you also watch this series, come off last year's series, see these two teams right now, look at the East and say, the Knicks-Pacers rivalry is back, and I expect to see these two playing each other again next year at this time.
Yeah, the game one haunted them.
Yep.
It did the whole entire series. The Pacers were impressive tonight. That's as good of a defensive effort that I think they've put up from start to finish as I've ever seen them play. The Knicks did similar things when they closed out Boston and then what they did in Game 5 at home. But you go into an environment like that, I know the Knicks look like they didn't play well, and
there's a reason why.
There's a reason why they didn't play well. That whole crowd was chanting defense, defense.
Yeah.
That you feel like there's 20,000 people just swallowing you in an atmosphere like that. And you saw the adrenaline that the Indiana Pacers were playing with. That when you're in front of your home fans, you run faster, you move faster, you lock in when you get those open threes. They were drilling shots. Like, I was like, what kind of shot
that was
is that?
A big part of the story.
Yeah, the
three-point shooting.
Yeah, and guys that you weren't prepared for.
Yeah,
and that's that's what happens when you play at home.
Yeah.
When you play at home, you're so comfortable. You get production from guys that you don't expect. It was a flawless effort by that Indiana team, and they're going on to the finals now to play OKC.
How about Andrew Nembhard, the defense on Jalen Brunson? Brunson doesn't get to 20 points, goes 8 of 18. Nembhard, it had been Neesmith for the most part up until this point in the series. And Alan, Nembhard made it brutally tough on Jalen Brunson all night long.
It's the effort of picking up a guy like that physically, right, again, and it's been the whole series, but picking him up 50 feet, 52 feet from the basket, staying in front of him, fighting over screens, staying connected. And in the playoffs, you're going to get away with a lot physically. And a lot of times early in a game, you want to test the officials and see, what can I get away with? What are they going to let me do here? And you saw Jalen Brunson early get frustrated with some of the contact that was being allowed, the physicality of his defense. That takes guts. That takes effort. That's exhausting to play defense like that, but he was willing to do it. And the officials were willing to let it happen and let it play through. And at one point, later in the game, you can see the frustration of Brunson. He went a little John Starks there with the headbutt. You know, again, a little, Knicks Pacers history. But that's how much it does factor in all this whole thing, is that you've got to understand it's an effort to play defense like that. It's not just, the officials allowed it. They're allowing physicality, but you still have to be willing to do it. And that's hard to do, and he was all in tonight on that.
And I give Jalen a lot of credit because Jalen could have snapped. There was a few times where Nembhard was trying to get him to snap and just lose his cool completely. And just throw a punch or do something. And Jalen knows how important it is that he stays out there on that floor. He kept his composure all throughout in this game. That's normally what makes Jalen Brunson so great, just being so even-keeled. But I'll tell you, the performances that you weren't prepared for, Thomas Bryant drilling threes.
Knocking down open threes.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton didn't score in the first quarter, didn't do much in the first half, but they still had a lead.
Yeah.
That's how good this team, how deep this team is. Everyone believes that they don't need, that they can beat you in so many different ways. If the Knicks, if Cat and Brunson aren't playing at a high level, it's going to be tough for the Knicks to win games, especially in the playoffs. Again, this Indiana team, they have just so many ways that they can beat you. It's impressive the way all those guys stepped up and played tonight.
Would you say, though, 58-54 at the half, you'd sign up for that? The whole idea on the road, keep it close.
Right.
Get into the second half. We know the third quarter's
Well,
been an issue.
that was the problem. Pacers won the third quarter, Allen, 34-23, and that basically got the Knicks going uphill the rest of the way, and they couldn't make it up.
And you remember Game 5, Jalen Brunson came out red hot, making sure that the Knicks weren't going to have
that was
third
the
quarter
first
doom.
three that they hit. Pushed the lead.
Yeah, that's the only contested
4
three.
to 7, and then Neesmith right off the bat, transition, 10-point lead.
Yeah.
Now is when you're in trouble with the Pacers, because when they get a lead, they are front runners. They start really running faster. They start being more aggressive and attacking.
There's Bryant.
Bryant cramping out in that three-point
Got to
line.
stop the ball. And there's
Nemhard
hitting that
shooting,
one.
but he hits.
They went 20-9 to start the quarter. 20-9. Another open corner three. It was that the Knicks they could scrambling so much. The turnovers, of course, were a big part of the story. In that third quarter, Wally, the Knicks had 5 turnovers. The Pacers scored 14 points off of 5 turnovers. Do the math. That's 4 threes and then a 2. How do you get to 14 points? You know what else that means? They scored off every turnover. Devastating.
Yeah, and that's exactly how they wanted to attack the Knicks. You knew that's how they were going to play. But look at the speed and athleticism this team has. They are young. I mean, they are young. They are athletic. They fly up and down the floor. I mean,
Don't look at that.
I'd rather it be a 2 on that dunk than a kick out 3, maybe.
2 things here, guys.
Don't look at this.
Knicks make 9 threes, Pacers make 17.
Yeah.
And the Knicks give up 34 points on their 18 turnovers. That's a final tally. 18 turnovers resulting in 34 Pacers points. That's the most points off turnovers a Knicks opponent, Allen, has gotten all year long. 34 points. So, to your point, what happened in the third quarter basically happened the whole game.
Yes.
Every time the Knicks turn it over, the Pacers hit a 2 or a 3.
And again, this was the Knicks' formula. Points off turnovers. Against the Pistons, they were killing them with that. The same exact formula the Pacers used against the Knicks. Turnovers for the Knicks this season was not a problem. They were top 10 in the league taking care of the basketball. Is something that the Pacers saw on film clearly.
Yep.
That became a weapon. And it's their weapon, too, all season. But what they did to the Knicks is something that we really haven't seen the Knicks do. Turn the ball over a high percentage. Jalen Brunson had another 5-turnover game here, Wally.
Take a look, Allen. Take a look at some of this. Take a look at how the defense on Brunson.
I mean, he was just getting suffocated by 2 guys most of the night. And remember, he's not that tall, so he can't see over defenders. And as a result, he was trying to make some plays and make some risky passes. But this Indiana team was anticipating
reaching
every
in on
single
him there,
one.
yeah.
You know, there was swarming defense. They were kind of just funneling Jalen into spots that he's not used to being.
That got deflected. And swarming defense.
And I've been there. There are times where you're just like, what? Like you just almost like you almost quit. You're like, I don't know what to do with
which one of you hit me?
Yeah, exactly. And they're coming at him in so many different ways and different angles that he's just trying to make a pass from point A to point
That
B.
one too. That was right at the half-court line.
Yeah. I mean, just the attacking pressure that they played with, exactly the way the Knicks were playing in Game 5. That's what you can do at home. At home, you can elevate that bar defensively, especially the intensity level, the focus, the energy, the effort, the adrenaline, and that's exactly what we saw this Pacer team. They just came out and they said, there is no way that we are losing this basketball.
They look like the Knicks at home in Game 5 with the defensive intensity.
And in Game 6 of the Boston series, the way they just completely blew Boston out of the water, that's how the Pacers handled this game.
In the second half. Again, it was the Knicks were right there in that first half. You have to look at that first half.
You got to give them credit for that.
And think that they withstood the first punch and all that stuff, and then it was close in that second quarter. 4-point game at the end of the half, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, 24 minutes, you can do this. You have to survive the early third.
Right.
And they couldn't do it.
Nope.
It's always the early third that is so pivotal in these games.
That's why Brunson went off Game 5 early third.
He had 16. Remember, Brunson had 16 points in the third quarter of Game 5.
Yeah, and it was like he took it upon himself to make sure we were not going to have a lull here. But that third quarter stuff, the early third quarter stuff, this has been a problem second half of the season into the playoffs. It's something all the players saw. Remember, Mikal Bridges said maybe we can do a layup line. Yeah. Like, this has been an issue for this team.
Yeah.
All right, much more to come, guys. When we come back, we're going to listen to the final Tom Thibodeau postgame news conference of the year. Cat tonight had 22 points, 8 of 19 from the floor, also grabbed 14 rebounds.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
All right, welcome back here as we continue our hour-long post-game show. The Knicks season is over as they lose Game 6 at Indiana, 125-108. Wally, bright spot for the Knicks tonight, no question. OG Anunoby was fantastic. Team-high 24 points, 10 of 18 from the floor.
Yeah, he was all over the place defensively. Spirited effort by him. He was ready to go. You know, I know he had a really solid season, too. You know, bouncing back off that injury last year. You know, came in here, you know, got the big contract and produced on both ends of the floor. He's on a team that made the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, they were heroic basket going in from possibly winning this series, but at the same time, you got to love what he brings. He was up against a great player in Pascal Siakam, who had an epic series.
We haven't talked about Siakam. He had 31 tonight.
He
had 31 in every game, it feels like.
I hope they gave him MVP of the series, by the way. I imagine he'd probably be right. He'd be the Eastern Conference MVP. He's got to be the guy. How about Anunoby? The first and foremost thing to say about him, not just in this game, the guy that showed up. The guy got right for a big game, got on the bus, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So his defense was certainly there. But for the season, durability.
Yeah.
You know, something that had been a knock on him early in his career or throughout his career, availability. He gave you a full season.
Gave you a full season and then some.
And played at a high level and, you know, didn't get all the defense, which you know is bothering him. So I imagine, you know, going into next season, there's still that goal for him to get to that level where he is considered one of the top defensive players in the NBA. But he has been a terrific third piece on this team.
Yeah, and you got to remember, this core is intact and pretty much signed for the next couple years.
Relatively young.
And they're relatively young, and they're all in their primes. This is the first year of this team together, this core together. Pretty good overall season, although it ends in big-time disappointment, losing to the Pacers. Hate to say it, for the second year in a row in the playoffs.
Got to bother you.
That's got to really bother you if you're a player, coach, fan, everyone involved in New York. But at the same time, you're in a good place. You got a nice roster. You maybe make a couple tweaks. You got a healthy Mitchell Robinson, which, what a difference the way he played in this series and the way he played in the playoffs. That's a great sign for this team moving forward, and we'll see what happens. A lot of bright skies in the future for Knicks fans.
Right about Siakam. He's a series MVP.
Oh, yeah.
He had 3 games with at least 30 points. Yeah. So he was fantastic throughout. Great tonight. Tom Thibodeau's final post-game comments of the season presented by Chase.
Yeah, first I want to just congratulate Rick and his staff on a great season. The entire Pacer organization, all their players, they played a terrific series. They've had a great season, so congratulations to them. Yeah, we didn't close the half well, so I thought right before the half, you know, that when they sort of had that spurt, that's also set the tone to start the third, and you know, they got into the open floor, and that was a problem. So it was hard to make up the ground. Yeah. So, and again, you know, some of it was our own doing. Some of it was their ball pressure, and it also put them into the open floor. And so, that I felt that was a big problem.
Tom, what is the message to the team after a game like this, after the run you guys have had in the postseason? And
yeah, I think, you know, and again, there's disappointment because you fall short of what your goal is, right? And there's, in the end, there's only going to be one team that achieves the goal. And so I think the challenge for us is to look at it for what it is. And it's, you know, we finished in the top 3, but we're falling short of the ultimate goal. And so for us, it's to use that for motivation and determination to work all summer to prepare ourselves to make the final step and keep improving so we can achieve our goal. And I think that's the way we have to approach it, and that's the way we have to look at it. So it's improvement from last year, but it's ultimately not what our ultimate goal is.
Tom, what do you feel like are those next steps you guys have to make?
And again, like you would do after every season, you take a step back, I think decompress, you do a deep dive on the team, and then you analyze what you think you need to improve upon. And then, you know, we have the draft, and then we have free agency, and there's trades, and then there's the internal development, and then it's the study and preparation for next season. And so it's a big off season for us.
Tom, you know this roster better than anybody. Do you think that this roster right now is capable of taking that next step?
Yeah, and again, like when you look at, a season, and I'm proud of what these guys did, because there was a lot that we had to get through, and I thought we handled that part well. I thought, Mitch being out for a good chunk of the season, we got that, prognosis late, so we had to adjust, and that, and then we made the trade with Cat and got him in, and then Precious was hurt at the beginning and Landry was hurt at the beginning, so we had to get through that. Then we also had to handle Jalen going out at the end of the season, so there were a lot of moving parts, but they kept fighting and moving forward, and I've got great respect for that. And then to play the way we did in the playoffs, and we have to understand, oftentimes the playoffs are hard fought, and these games can go either way, and oftentimes they're one possession games. So that's why there's the importance of fighting to win every possession, to do all you can each and every day to prepare yourself for these situations. And again, so the disappointment of falling short of the ultimate goal, but also proud of what we were able to accomplish, because we still had to win games with guys being out.
Okay, Tom, Siakam obviously winds up with the finals MVP. Seemed like it was a real difficulty getting a hold of him all series. What kind of challenges did he pose as you guys went through the series?
He's a very gifted player. He played a terrific series. And I think the versatility, like his ability to run the floor, his ability to play in the paint, his ability to face the basket, to put it on the floor, he's a tough cover. And sometimes, you can play him well, and he's still, because of his size and his release, he can still get the shot up, and it's always a good shot. So, hats off to him, and he had a big-time series.
Tom, I know you, a couple times throughout this run, you've made the point to say this is why you guys kind of browbeat the idea of the minutes and pulling guys and when you pull guys, but the game isn't over till it's over. With a series that was ultimately this competitive, to where it could have gone to a Game 7, does the ending to Game 1 haunt you, or is it something that it's just another game you just kind of had to reset? How do you feel about the series as a whole?
Well, the series, and again, so you will go through the whole season and each series and each game, and that's what I said, oftentimes, these things come down to one or two possessions, and so that's why everything does matter. How you practice matters, how you work on your free throws matter, how do you concentrate on a scouting report matters, how you concentrate in a film session matters, because you've seen it throughout the playoffs, and not just us, but with every team, there's big swings in games, and sometimes it does come down to a missed free throw or something like that that determines the outcome of a game. And so the concentration is important, building the right habits are important, and to always have the belief, a big part of mental toughness is always to have the belief that you can do something better, even if you're doing something well, but also have the belief that you can do it better.
Tom?
It's interesting. The NBA guys often works incrementally. So the Pacers made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, didn't get into the finals. They get back this year. They make it to the finals. Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, Wally, for the first time since 2000. Maybe it takes a kick or two at the can to get the next step and make the NBA Finals. Easy for me to say. I never played.
Yeah. There are no guarantees you're ever getting back to this point.
But sometimes it takes more than one
Maybe,
attempt.
yes, that is 100% true. Listen, it was an incredible accomplishment that the Knicks knocked off the Celtics. They had to take care of business against a tough Detroit team that's thinking the same thing. This is the beauty of professional sports. Every organization is competing for one championship. 29 other teams are going to be disappointed. So the Knicks have to use that as fuel. They have guys that can win in this league. They've proven it, and it's going to be fun to be on this ride again next year, and it's a fun ride.
Talking about Landry Shamet, guys.
Yep.
It's
very good.
12 points tonight again. I mean, out of the rotation, into the rotation, Wally, in this series, how difficult that must be for a guy. I know he's a veteran, but not playing and then coming in and making the contribution he made. And we haven't seen campaign here in the last 4 or 5 games because of Landry Shamet and because of DeLon Wright.
Yeah, and listen, you are a part of a team, but it also gets to the point where Landry Shamet is playing for his career. and he loves it here. He wants to show this organization and the front office that he can be a huge piece to this team moving forward, coming off the bench. I mean, he had a lot of motivation. His coach loves him. His teammates love him. He has the type of game that fits perfectly here in New York. And the performance that he played with at the second half of the season, the way he shot in the last game of the year against the Nets, the whole entire NBA was watching that game. And then the way he played in this series when he got opportunities and minutes, you got to hope that next year, healthy, not coming off a shoulder dislocation, he could have a lot of really productive minutes and have a huge role for this team if he ends up being re-signed, and he might end up re-signed with a nice little contract.
Tyrese Halliburton, guys, 21 points, 11 coming in the fourth quarter. Also finished the game. Tremendous job distributing the basketball with 13 assists. That's the trophy for winning the Eastern Conference. They'll take on OKC in the NBA Finals next week, Game 1. Pascal Siakam, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, gets the Larry Bird Trophy. He had 3 games in this series with at least 30 points. Tonight he goes for 31, 10 of 18 from the floor, and was dominant as Reggie Miller there gives him a hug. Pacers eliminate the Knicks 125-108. Pacers win the series in 6 games. You were struck by what Tom Thibodeau had to say in his post-game comments. What struck you?
Well, it echoed Pat Riley. Pat Riley was a guy that if the season ended without a championship, the minute the season ended, all he talked about was the next season. Immediately, you start thinking about it because his thought was, you don't achieve the goal. Your thought should be on what you have to do now in the offseason to make sure you're back in that spot again, and this time you are successful. It's always been his message during his years as a coach. And I know, Wally, you're right. It's like you never know when you're coming back and all that stuff. You never take it for granted. That's all true. But when you're a team that is building to try to win something, your belief is the next step, next step, and the learning process of losing. You know, Tom Thibodeau, one of his great sayings is you either win or you learn.
Right.
So they didn't win this year. So what did they learn? And what did they learn that'll help them win next year? And some of it is, like there's 5 players in the rotation, only 5 that were part of last year's team that lost to this team.
Yeah.
You lost to the same team twice. They sent you home twice. It's like an animosity that has to build up.
Totally.
They're not beating us anymore.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's the honest look at your roster to say, what are we missing that will help us get over the top?
No question. And the mind, you know, believing that you're going to win a championship, that is the huge part, because it is not only the talent, it's not only the X's and O's, it's not only the coaching, it's between your ears. Like in order to win a championship, it is an incredibly difficult hurdle to achieve. You have to have your mind preparing to do it, like you said, from now on. You need to use the failures to fuel you to get back to that spot and to get over that hump and to win it. Now, it's not easy to get to that point, and you also have to train your mind to respect how hard it is to get to that point and to get to this point. And if you want to get past this point, you got to even work harder at it. You cannot be content with this, and you have to motivate yourself inside and out to get through this point and get to the pinnacle.
Eliminate all excuses, right? Eliminate all your weaknesses.
100%.
Whatever the weaknesses are, you've got to eliminate more of them so this doesn't happen again.
And remember, this is the first year for this group, right?
That's a great point.
For this group,
yes.
Right. This the way it's looking right now with this group.
And you look, Siakam was traded last year. He came to the team mid-season. He had good success, but then you have a training camp. You build more bonds with your teammates. You get more connections with your coach. Look at how much better he's been for this team this year compared to last year. I mean, last year he was great, but this year he was phenomenal, MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, this guy has taken his game to a new level in a Pacer uniform, even better than I think he ever played in a Raptor uniform.
He was on a team that won a title with the Raptors.
Yeah, but he wasn't the guy.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Mikal Bridges, his first year as a Knick is in the books. We're going to get his post-game reaction coming up. Bridges tonight had 15 points, went 6 of 9 from the floor. Stay with us, everybody. The Pacers eliminate the Knicks. 18 Knicks turnovers result in 34 Pacers points. Here's Mikal Bridges in the post-game locker room.
Mikal, when you look at the way this game unfolded, is turnovers kind of the biggest thing tonight?
Yeah, turnovers one, and just that fourth quarter. You know, we got to execute what we're doing. Everybody got to be on the same page.
Obviously not the outcome that the team wanted, but when you look back, when the dust settles, the kind of what this team accomplished, are there a lot of positives?
Yeah, for sure. I'll probably be a little bit more grateful about it later, but not right now. So, but yeah.
Mikhail, it was a 4-point game at the half. Just what you see coming out of halftime that wasn't there that allowed them to kind of.
Third quarter. I think it's been a lot of third quarter. Them coming out with more energy than us and playing harder than us. They ramped it up and then cut it down in fourth quarter. It's a lot of mental mistakes.
You look back at this series, dropping game 1, losing game 2 on your home court. Is that kind of just the uphill battle that the team needed to kind of overcome?
Yeah, you start off 0-2. It's going to be tough for everybody. So, it's just, tough.
It seemed louder tonight than it did even for game 4. I mean, was it hard to communicate? Did that lead to some of the turnovers?
No, I don't really think so. Just got to communicate and just make better decisions, all of us.
You guys are obviously a new team put together in the offseason, a lot of injuries during the regular season, make the conference finals. Just how do you process the entire year? Obviously, not the result that you wanted, but to make it this point, how do you just review them?
I mean, a lot of work. Obviously, right now, I ain't going to be too happy about it, but, some days I'll feel better. Actually, not some days, some weeks. But, it's good to be here, but it's whatever.
Can this disappointment kind of turn to motivation for next season?
Yeah, just got to get better.
Mikhail, there was talk when they made the move for you, for Cat, about this being sort of a window here with guys matching up ages and stuff. Do you see this as a first step for you guys?
Yeah, first year. A lot of risk for everybody and battle through. Just first year. Just got to get better for next year.
Yeah, as we mentioned, first year together for this group. Wally, you were on a team that lost the conference finals. How long does it take to get over?
Oh, that was my last season of my career, so I'm still not over it to this day because that was my greatest chance to win a championship. These guys, obviously, they're in their primes. They're in the heart of their careers, so they got a lot to use as motivation. It's going to take the whole summer. I mean, you don't ever get over a loss like this, a loss like game 1. You'll keep replaying it over and over in your head. My dad still talks about the loss in game 1 when we gave away game 1 at home when we were with the Cavs against Orlando. It cost us the series. Home court, it held serve the rest of the way. You relive plays. There was a loose ball in game 3 in Orlando that if we got it, we would have won game 3. We didn't get it. They got it, made a 3, lost game 3. So there's going to be plays, there's going to be moments that relive and you never get rid of it, but you got to use them as fuel and motivation for next year.
For Mikal Bridges, he's going to have an interesting offseason coming up here because there's a decision to be made about his future when you talk about an extension.
Yes.
His contract. He is eligible now for an extension. Now, he still has time left on his contract, but this is the time now that conversation starts to be had.
For less.
And
he can extend for less. If he waits, he gets more. It's a Jalen Brunson dynamic from last summer.
I thought that was already, the start of this season was the one that he didn't have to do. This is the one now that comes up. Bottom line is that there's some business ahead for him. And how much, that's going to be part of decision-making going forward. The Knicks are still under the second apron. There's still moves that they can make, and that's, again, thanks to Jalen Brunson and what he did with his contract. But, Bridges is a guy that his future here is not exactly rock solid because of the contract. You don't know.
He has a very favorable contract
Very favorable, and he's a player that everybody loves. But you saw, especially in that Boston series late in games, you saw the value of what he brings in big moments. You saw the value of what he brings both on defensive end and on the offensive end, where he's had some big offensive moments. He's made big shots. His chemistry with, obviously, Jalen Brunson is something that developed along the way. But this roster is not complete, as you know, for a championship. And so there's a lot of interesting decisions to be made going forward.
Bridges also did a great job on Halbert in Game 5.
He was excellent all throughout the series.
Really good playoff performance overall for Bridges. All right, when we come back, Josh Hart's post-game comments, not much of a factor tonight. We'll hear what he has to say. Always has great perspective, and we'll get his perspective next. Welcome back, everyone. Pacers eliminate the Knicks. Josh Hart tonight, not one of his better games, only 4 points and 1 of 6 shooting from the floor. Here is now after the game.
Josh, just I guess for starters, thoughts on how this game went. You guys come into the half down 4, and then obviously things just go left. Just what did you see out there?
I mean, they obviously played well. They played fast. Turnovers were tough for us. We had some lapses in communication, and in the postseason you can't do that. Can't give away possessions, can't give away games. So you got to tip the cap to them. Obviously they played well. It's a well-coached team. Yeah.
Josh, after the game in the locker room, what was said?
Not much to be said. We knew we kind of gave this one away. You can't start 0-2, especially losing 2 at home, but you can't give away games in the playoffs. It's tough. We're all disappointed and frustrated, and we'll take that into the summer and make strides and work on our games individually and get back end of the summer and work on that as a collective. So it's the next step, and yeah.
Josh, personally, how would you reflect on yourself for this series? You came out of the starting lineup. There were some highs, some lows. How would you reflect on your own series?
Just kind of disappointed. I had some good games, some bad games. I just was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. So obviously extremely disappointed. Could have and should have played better. That was going to sting for a while.
Josh Hart, what a thrill to watch him all year. Celebration for the Pacers. Andrew Neesmith there, enjoying the win. Monica McNutt's post-game perspective next. Pacers beat the Knicks in 6 games. They get the Eastern Conference Finals trophy for the first time since 2000, and they'll take on OKC in this year's NBA Finals. Back with the guys, Monica McNutt in Indiana, as always, was on the radio on ESPN New York. Monica, what stood out to you tonight in the loss?
Again, turnovers, 34 points off of those turnovers, and they impacted, if they were not turned directly into points for the Pacers guys, it certainly stunted momentum of any comeback. And then, similar to the story in Game 4, unfortunately, the sluggish start to the third quarter that just ultimately became insurmountable for this squad.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going, Monica. First and foremost, that third quarter, you think about the issues the Knicks have had with those third quarters. 5 turnovers in the quarter turned to 14 points, which is unreal. But that 20-9 coming out of the gate, like you just felt like that was that moment. You're down by 4 at the half. You feel like if you keep this thing close, you have a chance. But what did that building feel like when they went 20-9 and went up by 15 points?
And it's how they do it, Hahn, right? Like back-to-back threes to start that run. And then you got guys flying at the rim. And so, of course, this place is erupting after every single one. It was, I thought, and I said to Tyler on the radio in that moment, everybody has to be locked in, and that includes the coaching staff. I thought maybe if you get a timeout a little bit early, you could have maybe staved off some of it as opposed to waiting for it to become 12 as soon as they got the back-to-back threes. But all of that is hindsight is obviously 2020. So it was loud in here. By the time this crowd got revved up from that run as well as the team, it was no turning back for the Pacers.
Yeah, Monica, that defense chant, it's still ringing in my ears. I can't get it out of my head. The whole entire game, it seemed like the fans were just yelling, defense, defense, at a loud clip. What'd you think of the Pacers just completely turning up their defensive effort tonight?
You know, Wally, I thought the turnovers to start the ball game by Bridges, certainly uncharacteristic, but even the turnovers by Jalen Brunson, I think he finishes with 5. I have it in front of me, I don't have to think. Yeah, both of those guys finished with 5 each. Like, they I remember Gino Auriemma saying to me after I graduated from Georgetown, the more you play a team, the more familiar you are with them. And so tonight it felt like, okay, cool, Jalen, you want to bump with us? We're going to stay right here and continue to bother her. Early in the first quarter, y'all, I saw assistant coach Jenny Buchek and Lloyd Pierce give the guys this signal, right? And that was when Karl Anthony Towns caught the basketball. And so tonight you saw them. They closed ranks. They got into the paint, 1 foot into the paint. They were in sound help position. Once the guy on ball did their job, they didn't allow for easy passes out of that once the dribble was picked up. And so I just thought tonight you saw a team that was determined to ride off the energy of their crowd, of their home crowd. And as Carlisle said, this team is on a tremendous run, and they caught a team that's still feeling pretty good, hot and confident.
Monica, we love you. Thanks for everything this year. I hope you have a great summer. We all hope you have a great summer, okay? Don't cry, Monica.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
All right, have a great
don't worry,
trip
I'm going
home.
on a nice vacation. I'll see y'all later.
Okay, all right. Kat and Jalen Brunson combined tonight for only 16 of 37 shooting. We're going to hear from the two Knicks All-Stars when we come back after this.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
Welcome back. No Key Nick is an unrestricted free agent. There's a list of notable free agents: Achua Payne, Shamet, Wright, Hakordi, and P.J. Tucker. Back now from the corner three, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. Alan, what do you think?
Well, that's your whole bench. So there's a lot of decisions to be made about what they want to do in the bench. They're going to have a mid-level exception. They can also spend some money on bringing in a high-end bench player as well. So there's a ton of decisions to make about this team. You already know what the core is, though.
Yeah, and you know Tom Thibodeau likes veterans. Yep. That's very important. At this point, it's tough to develop younger players, although the Knicks players are mostly under 30, so they're in their primes. But it's all about finding guys that know how to win at a high level in this league and win in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the Knicks assembled a pretty good roster with some guys that played some good basketball in the playoffs off that bench. So we'll see if some of those names stick. When you do stick with an organization, it makes a big difference from year to year, that continuity.
Yep. All right, guys, let us listen into the postgame comments from Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns.
For either one of you, obviously only two teams can go to the finals, but for you guys to lose this game in the fashion, just kind of some uncharacteristic things that we haven't seen much from this group this year, how much does the way you guys lost it kind of sting the most?
Sucks, man. Simple as that. It sucks.
You guys obviously had a roller coaster ride of a season, from preseason injuries, trades, just guys going down in and out of the lineup to get to the conference finals, beat Boston in the second round. Obviously, you didn't get the result that you wanted, not winning tonight. But just how do you characterize what you guys were able to accomplish this year?
Not sure that accomplish is the word that we're going to use here, but I think the way this team progressed this year is, for me, it was fun because there's a lot of people saying we couldn't do a lot of things, a lot of negativity around what we were trying to accomplish, and the way we just kind of put blinders on and went to work. And, that's what I'm most proud of with this team, and I'm just proud of how we kind of stayed the course. Obviously, like you said, not winning tonight and then being knocked out, but just proud of our guys. Simple as that.
I know it's tough for either one of you, right, to think long term in this, but when they made some of the moves over the summer, there was talk of the window that the ages and stuff matching up this group that they brought in. Can you see this as a first step for you guys?
You make the moves to win, so it hurts. It hurts to be able not to bring an opportunity to the city for a championship. We got a bunch of great guys in that locker room, and we hope to. The plan now is to just put ourselves in this position again and succeed next time.
I guess along those same lines, obviously in the moment, you said it sucks firsthand. Most teams kind of in their evolutions and stuff like that. There are building blocks. You guys made it a step further than what the Knicks did last year. If there's a window, like, are there positives that you feel like you can take from it as you kind of step back just a little bit? Are there things that you could look at now even and do that?
At this very moment, no. But eventually, yeah, we can look at stuff and see the positives, but not right now.
Jalen, in terms of what Kat just said, you make the moves to win. There were obviously a lot of big moves this offseason. How confident are you that this group has enough to take that next step? And
the most confidence. Overconfident. Seriously. I don't. There's not an ounce of any type of doubt that I'm not confident with this group.
Jalen and Carl, for both of you guys, obviously first season together. How do you think you guys developed as a duo over the course of the season, and what do you think the potential is moving forward?
Yeah, I think we definitely grew. It's a lot of fun playing with Kat, man. It's I've realized that there are a lot of, I think I talked about it this morning, about the narratives and what people say about other people and how people perceive us as players. And we only see from afar from other teams. And so when he came here, man, he's one of the best teammates. He's one of the guys that come in, does his work, does everything he can to be ready to go to games. Definitely a little goofy, but I mean, this dude has been he's been great to play with, a lot of fun to play with, and it just sucks that we couldn't get it done tonight. But I mean, I got a lot of faith in him.
Carl, what was your experience like?
I mean, you being able to watch Jalen from afar, in the West, and just see what he's done and what he's done for the city. It's even more crazier in person when you watch it in person, the way he works on the court. And JB's one of those teammates that when he steps in the building, he raises everyone's energy, morale, and very few people I've ever played with had that kind of intangibles that he has. And we're not even talking about playing basketball. I mean, I think we all know he's, in my opinion, one of the best in the league. And to be able to watch him go to work every night and to be his teammate, I don't say this lightly. It's a blessing, and it's an honor that I get to play with Jalen Brunson. And to be in my career to be able to say that, I've been honored to play with a lot of great teammates, but JB's he's one of the top of the list for me. Best teammates, best basketball players I've ever got to play with. One and two, one of the best teammates I've had.
Two quick ones for me. Obviously, 4-point game at the half. Just what happened come out of the half that allowed them to kind of open up the game, and then Siakam wins conference finals MVP. Just what made him such a difficult cover for whoever wants to take it?
Just came out at halftime. We didn't shoot the ball well. They got some leak outs. They found a way to win, and we didn't respond with the firepower that we needed to. It's unfortunate that we put ourselves in a position like that, and with the season on the line, you hope that we could pull one of those Knicks games out where you're down in the fourth and you find a way to come back and win. And it just didn't happen tonight.
Knicks were down by 15 after 3, couldn't really make a comeback. When you look at the East next year, we know Boston, Tatum's got the torn Achilles, they got salary cap issues, a new owner. I don't know if you can believe in Cleveland. I mean, you look at the rest of the East.
Don't forget about Cleveland.
These two teams.
You don't want to forget about Cleveland?
Don't forget about Cleveland.
No, you don't forget them, but they've had their issues in the play. These two teams, the Knicks and the Pacers, they're going to go to battle again. Like, that's what you have to expect. That's what you could tell. These players know that you could tell that's coming. But Jalen Brunson had another magnificent season here. His Knicks playoff career has been outstanding. He is a special player. These are new glory days.
Yeah, and it's one more year of continuity, and that makes a big difference. If this group stays together, it will really help.
Right. Love you guys.
Great year.
Thank you,
Crack
everybody.
these open.
Thank you for everybody for watching. Thanks to our director, John Gallagher, producer, Q. Also, special thanks to our graphics coordinator, Randy DiGregorio, our production assistant, Frankie Fusco. Thanks to our great technical staff. And we want to wish all the best to EVS operator Freddie Minardi, who is retiring after 36 years. Thanks as well to our studio crew, Chris Kroniak and Joe Swift. Have a great summer, everybody. Pacers win tonight, 125-108. They beat the Knicks in 6 games. Great season for the Knicks, but it ends tonight. Want more than just a post-game show? Link your eligible TV subscription to stream Knicks games free or subscribe today in the Gotham Sports app. Just go to gothamsports.tv to learn more.